Hi, I just want to make a little video about an interesting observation I've just made when I took a photograph of myself. Um, I realized that in a number of photographs I've taken, I have little white reflections, you'd think, around my eyes. Now, as well as a couple of very bright ones in the center of my eyes. Now, the thing is, I've always thought these were reflections, but what if they're not? You know, what if they're not? What if, because I'm interested in things like orbs and UFOs and stuff. Well, what if they are little orbs? You know, some people believe in demons and possession. Some people think aliens are demons. What if these little white roundnesses in my eyes are actually orbs, you know, not in my eyes, but around my eyes, and a couple that seem to come from right inside, which you'd think would be the reflection of the flash on my retinas. But what if they're not? What if they're something else? What if they are orbs? Well, they seem to be seen when I use the flash and not otherwise. So you seem to be able to see them if you use really bright light. So I suggest, like people use infrared to see UFOs, infrared lenses to see UFOs. I suggest people try filming around the place, anywhere, people, areas, anything, in very bright light, really blinding light, like a flashlight. Don't even be there if you don't want to. Just put an automatic camera on or something and have extremely bright light and film and see what happens. Because you may well find there are orbs, not just in your eyes or somebody else's eyes, but maybe around the room or something. I've actually seen a couple of orbs, 3 orbs actually go through my room, all within the space of about 2 months, maybe a couple of years ago, between 2 years and 3 years ago, something like that. I went to my doctor shortly afterwards for an unrelated health problem, and she asked me, out of the blue, do you see lights? And she sounded scared. It was like my symptoms actually meant something to her other than what she diagnosed. She diagnosed some arthritis or something like that, I think it was. As I recall, it was a while ago now, but I do remember that she asked me that question out of the blue for something unrelated and then ended up diagnosing painkillers or something like that. The usual thing that I get to help with arthritis now. So I think it was probably arthritis. And yet, out of the blue, she asked me, do you see lights? And I said, well, I was a bit afraid to say yes because I thought she'd diagnosed me as mental. But I thought, well, I've got to know what's happening here. So I pressed it on a little bit further and said yes. And she was silent because she was scared. And then she just carried on working. Nothing else, just that. And it was the first time I'd seen them in my life, and I haven't seen them since. So whatever perception I was developing, which just because I'm trying to develop my perceptions, because I want to know what's going on, because it affects me, and others. And anyway, whatever the perception was that I was developing seems to have been suppressed by these painkillers. It's actually ibuprofen. Some people call it brufen or something. I'm used to calling it ibuprofen now, so I call it that. Some people just call it profen, I think. I don't know. Anyway, well, I do know, but I'm not an expert on these things, and I might, no. I think I've got that right. But anyway, yeah, and yeah, I think our senses, with regard to the little lights right in the center of my eyes, I think there may be implants in people, perhaps in the back of their eyes, in their retina. Also, I don't know if you've heard of floaters. They are little things that look like tiny hairs or wires that people sometimes see floating in front of their eyes. Oh, I can see them now as I try to look. And I've been asked if I see those by an optician. And they seem to be something that is covered up and not generally discussed. They used to be discussed more before, but they're not so much anymore now. I don't know why, but I actually think there could be microscopic implants that people do sometimes managed to see floating about in front of their eyes. They look like little, just strange shapes, really, in black, little black strange shapes. And they move with your eyes, so they're like in a fixed position, possibly in the outside of your eyes or something, where you might be able to see them. And as you move your eyes, they move with your eyes, and so on. And also, when I was little, I was in a care home, and in a state-run children's home, and I think I may have received an implant to my right ear. This girl kept jabbing my right ear with a pencil, just looked like a normal sharp pencil, and she kept jabbing into my ear. I didn't know what was going on because she hadn't been so weird before, and she just started sitting behind me and doing this in a classroom they had. And this went on for 3 days or so, until she finally, and the teacher was out most of this time. Whoever was teaching was vacated the classroom most of this time, and so did most of the kids. I don't know what happened to them. And yeah, and the girl kept doing this, and finally, sometimes rarely the teacher would come in and say to me, and ask me, not ask me, just ask this girl sitting behind me, have you done it yet? And she'd say no, and sound frightened. And this happened several times towards the end of the 3 days, like this man was losing patience with her. And I was getting tired of dodging her endlessly, so I decided to see if calling her bluff would mean she wouldn't actually shove it in my ear. So I steeled myself, and she did actually. And when this guy was out of the room, she actually did shove this sharp pencil into my ear. And she didn't see, this has actually happened a bit before, but I had pushed her away and not wanted to show any results to her in case it encouraged her. But this time I thought, since she'd called my bluff, I'd see if making a noise would stop her. So I actually said, ow, and that seemed to stop her. It was like she wanted just to penetrate my ear skin just once, just with what looked like an ordinary pencil. And a couple of minutes later, or about 10 seconds later, this man came back into the room and asked her in a snappy voice, have you done it yet? And she said, yes, as if to say, I've done it. And he seemed to have wanted her. She hadn't done anything. She hadn't done any schoolwork or anything. The only thing she'd done is managed to jab me in the ear, in my right ear. So it seems like that's what he was talking to her about. He wanted her to jab me in the ear with a pencil. And I knew then that maybe they were, because I was an intelligent child and interested then in things like UFOs. And I had already heard of alien implants and things like that. Even this was decades ago, because I was interested in this kind of thing. And I thought to myself then, I wonder if those you-know-whats have done something like that to me. But I couldn't prove it to anyone. No one would care what a child thought. They'd think I was a stupid kid. And ever since then, they've called me mental now and then. So I've been afraid to say anything like that, because I just noted down as mental. Or they'd say I imagined it. They would not investigate it. But ever since then, I've been unable to clean my right ear with a cotton bud, because it triggers something that makes a horrible tickling, and not even tickling, but agitated feeling that goes all the way from my ear, all the way down into my throat, where it makes me cough and choke like anything. It's somewhat painful, and it's intolerable, and makes me choke a lot, and makes my eyes water so that my nose starts dripping as well. And I certainly can't concentrate on cleaning my ear with a cotton bud with all this going on. So basically, I just had to use a tissue and wipe round it a bit, whereas I can clean my left ear with a cotton bud. And I used to be able to clean my right ear with a cotton bud, but I can't do that anymore. So I actually wonder if I got an implant in my right ear. Now, I'd like this investigated, but again, people used to say that you were mad if you wanted something like that investigated. Over time, it's gotten so people just say there are so many people applying for these investigations that there's just not financing now to investigate them all. They found loads of implants in loads of people. So what's happening with me? I'm implanted and no one's going to help me because I haven't got the money to pay for it privately or something. If I had the money, I could probably pay for it, but they won't let me work.